Millennial overcommitment. Also, Darren Collison drunken giraffing DeAndre Ayton. Woo! Stone drove Cheddar Bill and the Iceman. Let's go!
Oh, yeah. Drunken giraffing.
Drunken giraffing. Like newborn horsing.
You come up with that on your own? Poor jockey.
Washington's team statement after putting a claim on Reuben Foster, who had been arrested 3 times, twice for domestic violence, and cut by San Francisco this past Sunday morning. It was attributed to Senior Vice President of Player Personnel Doug Williams, although they spelled his name incorrectly at the top. The team fully understands the severity of the recent allegations. If true, we don't condone or have to go through full legal process, investigation, potential discipline from the NFL, meetings with team counselors before he plays. The statement also went on to say the team decided to investigate Foster and talk to Foster's ex-Alabama teammates who overwhelmingly supported him. And the thought would be that it would be a good environment for Foster because they have so many ex-Alabama teammates. Kevin Blackistone, you're in Washington. How do you view Washington's reasoning for claiming Foster?
I don't view it very kindly. And I'm going to say this as not a journalist, but as a fan, someone who grew up in this town in a family that had season tickets to this team for over 50 years. And you know what? My joy in this team has just been sucked out. First there is the obstinance and arrogance on the team's nickname. Then just earlier this year, we saw the report from Juliet McClure at the New York Times about how cheerleaders were treated. And now we see this story about how this team jumped at the opportunity ahead of basically no one to bring Reuben Foster into the fold. And also the gall in the statement to point out that they interviewed ex-teammates of his and current players on this team about bringing him in. They didn't talk to the police who made the report. They didn't talk to the ex-girlfriend who made the accusation. And so I don't view this team any differently than I viewed it the last several years. This is the same.
So when you read in that statement, they will go through the full legal process, of course, and then they will allow the NFL to pass any punishment, and then they will do what the team can do to put him on the field. Do you think that is not doing enough?
I don't think that is doing enough. I think they could have let the process play its way out. I don't think that they had to do what they did as quickly as they did with this particular
Frank
play.
Isola, your view of it?
This is an organization that hasn't played in the Super Bowl, much less won one, in a long time. There's a talented player out there, so Kevin is absolutely right. And what they're saying is, we're not going to be your moral compass. We're in the business of trying to win football games. There's a great player available. We're going to get him now, and hopefully a month from now, 2 months from now, 6 months from now, when this is kind of out of the news and it goes away, and if charges are dropped or something happens, we're going to put him on our roster. That's exactly what they're doing. But Kevin's 100% right, but this is all about winning football games.
Bill Plaschke?
Yeah, they're the most tone-deaf organization in professional sports. Everyone knows that already. I think another issue here is what is the NFL doing, allowing him to even be, picked up, to be claimed on waivers? I know he's on the exempt list now. He was put on the exempt list after they claimed him on waivers, meaning he can only work out with the team and he can actually play. They should run that list before, and it should say you can't pick this guy up. This guy is toxic until the investigation is done. Why rush to this? This is only less than 3 days after he allegedly hit a woman with his hand. He's on an NFL team, picked up by an NFL team.
That's a fair point,
No other
Bill.
team would touch him, by the way.
Maybe I'll ask you this, Woody. Do you blame the team? Do you blame the NFL system? It allows for such a claim to begin with.
I think both. And let's start with what Kevin was talking about, him being a fan. What is the common link between among all the problems they've had this year? The owner, Daniel Snyder. We continue to see, and you know he had to write off on this decision. And really, you're thinking about bringing in a player, and Frank, you make a point about, well, he's a great player. He hadn't proven it to me so far, or to anybody else that he's a great player. He's been more of a headache since before he was drafted. The last time he actually kept his game together was at Alabama. And I will go along with Nick Saban. He had a great support system for his players down there and kept Reuben Foster out of trouble. Once he was ready to go to the NFL, he started to get into trouble at the Combine, before the Combine, with the 49ers, and now in open space. I think that the NFL also feels like it's going to conduct an investigation. Well, why let him be on any team until you complete that investigation? It's not like he can go in there and play for them right now. I just think it's outrageous what has happened here and continues to happen. When you say great player, there's a great player out there that Washington could have signed that could help them, but they chose not to because of another issue that the NFL looks straight on at.
All right, well, let's speak specifically to this. You're talking about Colin Kaepernick, right, Woody Page? You're talking about,
sure.
And that issue being an issue of a protest versus an issue of alleged violence against women here. Kevin Blackistone, you want to get back in, please. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, Tony, you pointed out early on that the name was misspelled on the statement from the team, and the name that was on there should not have been the name that was on there. This is a statement that needs to be made by Dan Snyder.
What do you think that was,
Kevin?
You think Doug Williams is considered iconic, of course, in this franchise, and he was almost used as a buffer?
That's why they did it.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, it was a public relations move, and I hate to see Doug Williams' name attached to this. This should have been from the owner. This should have been from Bruce Allen, who's supposedly the head of the team's operations, who is absolutely invisible around here. It should have been from Jay Gruden, the coach, not from
Specifically,
Doug
though, I
Williams.
want to get back to what Woody was saying, and Bill, I'll address you with this. The idea that this league has given second, third chances, and it's every team. Let's not just put Washington on this, although they had a recent one with Junior Gillette, but it's over and over again. We've named these players long and hard. The idea that players who have accused crimes, physical crimes, crimes against women, crimes against all sorts of people are allowed back on teams, and someone like Colin Kaepernick is still out of work. Bill Plaschke?
Did they learn nothing from Ray Rice? Can't they just take some time to investigate? Don't ban him for life, but take some time. I think the minute that waiver claim went through the league office, they got to say, whoa, 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 you're not touching this guy until we know more. How come somebody in the league didn't say that?
In that statement, they talked about a team investigation, and I know you alluded to this, Kevin. The USA Today report said only one team reached out to Tampa Police Department, and that team wasn't Washington. The team was Philadelphia. So maybe that investigation is ongoing, and this whole conversation is. We're going to move on now.
It's not going.
Headline 2. Earlier this week, one Francis Abagnale Isola predicted the college football
Lucky
playoff
guess.
would be Georgia 4, Oklahoma 5, and then Ohio State 6. He said this would make their job easier next week. I'm not sure what he meant by that. I'm not sure why it would be that way or whether that was really going out on a limb. But he nailed it, so he gets a 1-point bonus. Congratulations, Frank. All right, now that you got it right, Frank, is there a way OSU jumps Oklahoma if they both win? That's the first question you could address.
Well, we all knew Georgia was going to be fourth because this way it protects them. If Alabama loses, you get both of the teams in there. You keep Alabama in. Here's the thing about Oklahoma. They give up 450 yards a game, about 38 points a game, and they're still ahead of Ohio State. I think this is more about the committee wanting Kyler Murray in the playoff as opposed to Urban Meyer and all the baggage that comes with it. It's unfair to the Ohio State players. You want to look at the Purdue 29-point loss. That factors into it. But it looks like unless Oklahoma doesn't have a dominant performance, it's going to be them over Ohio State, assuming both of them win.
You're kind of a conspiracy theorist. Can I use that word for you, Frank? You believe that there's some puppet strings being pulled behind all this, and hence Georgia being number 4, but also that Ohio State is not the team they want in the playoff.
No, I don't think, and like I said, I think that's unfair to do to the players. They didn't do anything wrong here, but we know kind of the stench that comes with Ohio State. Everything.
But you don't think this is just because they lost to Purdue?
Of the season.
And they lost to Purdue by a lot compared to Oklahoma's loss?
Look at Oklahoma's numbers. I mean, they're giving, like I said, 450 yards a game, 34 points a game.
KB, join us.
Well, the thing that's going on here for Ohio State is they have a chance to replicate what happened in 2014 in this same game when they shut out Wisconsin 59-0 and leapfrog TCU, despite TCU having won 55-3 over Iowa State. They're going up against a team who has the coach of the year in the Big Ten Conference. They're going up against a team that has one conference loss this year, a 3-point loss to Michigan, a team that has won 15 of its last 16.
You tell them, Plaschke. Way to go, Bill. You get in there. That team is Northwestern.
That's your alma mater, KB.
Okay, we'll just put that to the side right now. You think Ohio State has a game on their schedule that's going to prove who they are, and you don't think Oklahoma does? You don't think Georgia does? I mean, that's where I'm confused here.
No, they obviously do, but I'm just saying I've seen Ohio State do this before. And if they have a convincing win over a really strong team out of Evanston, Illinois, coached by Pat.
Okay, yes. We know who you're talking about here. Woody Page, what are you doing with this penultimate ranking?
Well, let's see. Ohio State, Captain Obvious, lost to Purdue in a bad game, and Oklahoma lost to a Texas team that it can avenge and beat everybody on its schedule. You were convenient to point out that they give up 34, 35 points a game. Guess what? They score more than 50 points a game. They are blowing out everybody, even though their defense is not very good. Their offense is incredible. It's the first team that's outside the top 50 that possibly will be in the playoffs. Second team.
Yes.
Last year, they got into the playoffs with a team outside the 50. So they can.
They got in. Once they got in, didn't work out so well for them. All right, Bill Plaschke, now you.
Frank, the only number that matters for Oklahoma is the one loss to a decent Texas team. You cannot say Ohio State's unfair. If they're treated so unfairly, then beat a 6-6 Purdue team, don't lose by 29 points. I'm sorry, I don't think any team's ever finished in the top 4 that's lost by 29 points to a 6-6 team. Oklahoma wins, they're in. And Frank, it's not about Kyler Murray. It's not about any of that. Ohio State, I guarantee, gets better TV ratings than Oklahoma nationally. I guarantee they're more of a draw. It's not about this. It's just about fairness. The fair thing would be to have Oklahoma, if they win, they're in.
Bill, while you were watching Notre Dame spank USC, maybe you missed what happened on Saturday.
I'm not sure it was a spank. It was a one-touchdown game, Frank.
Them out. And there is kind of a common opponent here. Texas did lose to Maryland, and Ohio State did beat Maryland.
Okay,
so
all right.
Texas, Oklahoma,
your
Maryland.
Your transitive property there is that triangle has about 4 different points. I'm not sure I exactly believe what you're selling there. Here's the thing. What if we live in a world where Georgia loses, where Oklahoma loses, where Ohio State loses? This last ranking had Michigan ahead of UCF. So then theoretically a team that we last saw let up 62 is going to go into the playoff over a team that could be undefeated?
No, it'll be UCF. It'll be UCF.
I don't know.
It's got to be
UCF's got to be in.
All right.
They don't want them in.
Page 7, Plaschke 5. Everybody else is playing catch-up. And buy or sell next. 7, Plaschke 5, Isola 3, Blackstone. Some work to do in buy or sell. Duke 90, Indiana 69 last night. Look at Zion's shot chart. 6 dunks. This discussion could be Mike Krzyzewski's comment after the game, or they can be whether you think Duke can beat the Cleveland Cavaliers in NBA 2K. What do you think? Let's hear Krzyzewski.
And Duke fans, just cut it out, man. Let's not get spoiled. We got 4 and 19-year-old kids there trying to bust their to learn how to play and have a lot of pressure on them and let them grow.
Let's not get spoiled, and we have teenagers playing college basketball. Bill, the right message to send to Duke fans?
I think it was the right message to send to his players, which is what he was doing. I know nobody in this panel is going to agree with me because everybody's down on Coach K, but he's coaching his players through the media. He's telling them he has their backs. They're kids. They took a lot of grief for losing to Gonzaga, like to the Golden State Warriors. It's a long season. He's trying to get them mature through the season. Smart move by him.
Page?
Bill, you're absolutely right. Nobody's going to agree with you. Cool it, Coach K. You're the one who's overreacting. You went back and talked about the officiating 2 games ago after you just beat Indiana. If anybody's overreacted, it was Tony Reale about 2 weeks ago when he asked us if this team was going to go undefeated. But the fans have the right to react, overreact, and have fun with this season because it's the only year they're going to see these players.
I like Coach K, and if you are a student, a college student, and you go to Duke, one of the reasons you go there is because you know the basketball program. 16 Final Four appearances, 11 championship games, 5 championship titles. You are spoiled just by going there and watching this basketball.
I get that, Kevin, but the idea he's reminding us that these are young kids playing college basketball. They're just 19 years of age. The other team has seasoned 20-year-olds. All right, how about you, Frank Isola?
And that's why that loss last week will actually help them in the long run. A young team like that, all that pressure going into a tournament, being undefeated. But Woody happens to be right. You know, we have to overreact because we can't wait until next year, the year after. They're not going to be here. It's all going to be over by April, probably in the Final Four.
Frank, let me ask you a question. You looked at that shot chart that we put up for Zion Williamson. Everything's so close to the rim. Portending forward, going forward, projecting forward as an NBA player, how does that look to you?
Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with scoring that close to the basket. He scored more points in the paint in the first half than Indiana had. To me, kind of like a Sean Kemp with maybe like a Rodney Rogers kind of body. Not LeBron James or maybe Sean.
Sean Kemp, Rodney Rogers?
Well, he's saying he gets to the rim, and I know there's some criticism now, that shot chart, that that's not the NBA game today, but, maybe he's a different player. We'll move on. Buy or sell two. Ben Roethlisberger, critical of teammates, critical of the end-of-game play calling against the Broncos, critical of himself on his Tuesday local radio hit. And what he said was about criticism, quote, "I would hope they would understand that as a quarterback and a captain, I have the right to do those things," end quote. Bill, buy or sell Big Ben there?
I'm selling Big Ben. He's got the right to do them, but should he do them publicly? That's the question. It felt like he's throwing these guys under the bus. It felt like he was still stung from throwing that interception and is trying to pass the blame off. Do it to him in a locker room, not publicly.
Woody Page?
Phil, you're wrong again. He has every right as the captain, as a guy that's won Super Bowls as a quarterback. Birds got to fly, fish got to fry, and quarterbacks got to not only throw interceptions like Favre and Elway did throughout their career, but talk about the problems they have of players around them.
Birds got to fly. What was the fish?
Fish got to what?
Fish got to fry?
Fish got to fry.
Well, that's not too fair to the fish. Birds get to fly and fish can't. Blackstone.
Yeah, look, it's not that he's captain, he's quarterback. Woody was on to something. It said he's got 2 Super Bowl rings. He's taken them to the playoffs 10 seasons. He is the leader and the face of that franchise, and that's cool. He can do that.
Woody's right that Bill is wrong again. He's the quarterback. He doesn't do it every week. He's been around long enough to earn that right to be critical after a terrible loss against Woody's Broncos.
But is Woody right that fish have to fry? That's the only question I'm trying to get to the bottom of. Buy or sell 3, best team in hockey right now. Anybody? The best team in hockey. We're showing them on the screen, people. Get your game right. The Buffalo Sabres. Last year they were the worst. Now they're on a 10-game winning streak. Anyone know how many games in the 10-game winning streak have been decided by 1 goal? Does anybody know that?
9 of the 10.
Bill Plaschke. Wow. Saberologist rattling the Sabres today, Plaschke. Frank, answer this. Could the Sabres be this year's Golden Knights?
Is it Sabre or Sabres? Yes, they absolutely can be. And you look at their roster, it's kind of like the land of misfit toys. Emily Kaplan of ESPN, the hockey writer, she polled a lot of players, executives, and they all thought that Buffalo could make this move because of the moves they made during the offseason. Jeff Skinner from Carolina, 19 goals in 25 games, including the game winner last
Was Sabre a reference to The Office, Frank, or do you have no idea what I'm talking about? Okay, good. Just making sure.
Yes.
Blackstone on the Sabres. Buy or sell the Sabres?
No, I'm gonna sell them being what we saw from the Golden Knights last year. That's gonna have to be a wire-to-wire thing. They're gonna have to be coming from nothing to something. I mean, what we saw in terms of an expansion team last year is not something we're ever gonna see again.
Literally, worst to first would be nothing to something here. How about you, Woody Page?
Really.
Kevin, don't be rattling those Sabres. You got to talk about how great they're playing to go from worst to first. They went out and got Sutton, who is the best free agent goalie. He's making a difference. Their number 1 pick overall has the same name as Bill and I used to call our girlfriends in the South, Dolan. He's got 11 assists to lead all the rookies. And I just think they're doing a great job all around.
Oh, darling. All right, Woody. Plaschke, you've got enough to advance. You want to roll the dice with the Sabres a little bit?
I'm just buying. Yes. I'm buying Emily Kaplan's story. We all used it. That's the entirety of our knowledge of the Sabres. It's based on Emily Kaplan's story today.
Well, points to Emily Kaplan.
I'm the only one that knows it, though.
When she makes her first appearance, and hey, you guys want to volunteer a spot, she'll get all those points coming up to you. All right, Blackstone.
Grew up around the block.
Isola receding into the background. Bill's got a Bill, Woody's got a Woody, and a panelist has got to win a showdown.
Easy.
On the other side. 130th time. Good luck, gentlemen. Whoa. Showdown 1, Ben Davison of Wisconsin. 4 charges drawn last night. Let's break them down one by one and rule yay or nay. Bill Plaschke, first to you.
I'm ruling 3 yays, 1 nay. This is gumption. This is grit. Only once did he flop.
Oh,
the charge
grit.
should be a stat next to a kid's name. Good move for the kid.
Bill, there were 3 nays there. What is he majoring in? Theater? He's a scrappy kid, but that would be like a Broadway flop to me.
Majoring in theater because he's an actor. Okay, and he's flopping. All right. Some of these were a little bit over the line. I'll go with Woody Page, point to here. All right, now if we waited all show, we've got it. LA versus Denver with LA versus Denver. This was the worst loss the Nuggets ever handed the Lakers. whether LeBron needs a shooter or two, whether Denver's for real, whether we can live in a world where Woody's Nuggets are for real. Woody, go ahead.
The Nuggets are real, and they are spectacular.
Oh, no, you know what? The Lakers will surpass the Nuggets once they get LeBron the shooter or two shooters he needs. They will make a trade, maybe Bradley Beal, but they will make a trade for a shooter before the trade.
So you got Bradley Beal. I'll throw out another name. There's Corver. I'll throw out a third name, Jimmer Fredette. How about a little Jimmer with the Lakers? Who's on board with that?
No, throw that name.
I'm on board with Bill Plaschke for FaceTime.
Oh. Tony, I have a little bone. Tony, I have a little bone to pick with you. I love the drunken giraffe reference. I laughed at it, but you know what? Enough with the jokes. When DeAndre Ayton was trying to guard Derek Collison earlier in the show, when these guys get their ankles broken and everything, they're playing hard defense. They're trying. It's a tough sport. We got to stop making fun of all these guys who fall down like this, because again, it's a really difficult thing, and at least they're trying to play defense.
He's a big man. You're absolutely right. I mean, that's a big man covering a guard.
Last laugh on you, Tony.
What, a drunken giraffe? A newborn horse? I mean, that's what it resembles. That's all I'm saying.
No,
that's going to do it, folks. Thanks for coming around. 23 and a half hour break.